Hi everyone, it's Jay here, and today I'm going to review some of the manga and manhwa I read last month in April. I read 14 volumes, which is a couple more than last month. Some of the volumes I read were a continuation from series I've started previously, but I also started 2 new series and read 2 standalones. I'm going to start with the volumes I read which are part of series I've already started. So I'll start with Nina the Starry Bride, Volume 3. There will be some spoilers here because it's impossible to give any sort of review beyond I loved it without some spoilers, so please do skip ahead if you haven't read it yet. So, Nina is now in Galgada, where she's eventually going to marry the Crown Prince, Set. And I have to say, his refusing to meet with Nina when she arrives and afterwards is so rude. I really don't like his character. He's arrogant, sees women as playthings and toys to get what he wants. Even though he's open with his dislike or disdain for Nina, she faces this hardship head on and starts finding the positives in life and keeps on smiling. I love her resilience. There are some really unpleasant people in the castle, especially the guard captain. Let's be honest, that scene where she knocks the captain out, a bit unrealistic, but I enjoyed it anyway. Set's pet bird is also an unpleasant one, but it definitely provides some humour to the story. The ending was again a bit of a stretch in terms of believability. I really feel there should have been more serious injuries sustained in that fall, but I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes. The biggest oh my gosh moment was the ending though. Azure has really gone all out to get Nina back. I'm dying to know what he did to get where he is now. Volume 4 cannot come quickly enough. I also read The Abandoned Empress Volumes 2, 3 and 4. I'm really enjoying this series. Lots of plot lines are being established alongside mysteries. I can't wait to find out why Carson likes Aristia and is happy to train her right up until he finds out her name and who she is. Then he hates her and pushes her away. I like how you think you know a character, you like them, and then you find out more about them and you dislike them. The growing relationship between Aristia and her father is really sweet, and I want to see more of it. Volume 4 has a big moment for Aristia, and I finished reading it, worrying about the future of some of the characters. The art is good too. I prefer it to The Remarried Empress, but it's not as good as The Stepmother's Martian and Villains Are Destined to Die. If you like those 2 series, check this one out, because I think it is great and well worth a try if you haven't read it yet. Speaking of A Stepmother's Martian, I read Volume 3 and I loved it. The Crown Prince, he's very much acting in his own self-interest, and it is interesting to see more of the Queen in this volume. She's very much testing people in this one, seeing how they react, figuring out people's reasoning. As always, the art is fantastic. I never feel like it's being rushed, which I do feel with some other manhwa like The Remarried Empress. Everyone's faces are so well drawn. I love that I can understand how characters are feeling from their expressions alone. Which may sound a bit silly, but sometimes I read things and they write the word shock next to the character's face to help tell you how the character's feeling. To me, you should be able to understand that from the drawing without the obvious word next to their face. Alberon on one of the title pages looks so cool. There's a trial in this one. I won't say what for, but I really enjoyed it. I thought the back and forth was excellent, and I was quite nervous throughout it. There's a moment between Shuri and Jeremy, her eldest stepson, which I found to be beautiful. I was slightly worried they would get taken down a weird route due to them being a fairly similar age, but thankfully there will be none of that. I love that a firm line was drawn under their relationship and what form their relationship will take. And the volume ended on a high, and I thought it was absolutely wonderfully heartwarming. And I finished the volume with a smile on my face. I think this is my second favourite manhwa after Villains Are Destined to Die. I read volume 6, 7 and 8 of Spy X Family. I am enjoying the series, but I thought volume 6 was the weakest of the series so far. It felt quite fillery, and whilst it was amusing to read in parts, nothing stood out to me until the very end of the volume, which links nicely to volume 7, where we see more of Damien and his relationship with his father and friends. You really feel for Damien in this volume. There's a story here with a cat which again felt like filler, but volume 7 ended strong and made me eager to read volume 8, which I thought was the strongest out of the 3. It was funny, we got more of the family doing their own thing, but also thinking about each other. Anya comes up with hilarious worst case scenarios in her head, and the fight at the end of the book was a great read. Yor has an important moment here, thinking about her job as an assassin, and then we get the cutest story at the end of Yuri's childhood, with Yor when he gets sick. That kid needs a medal for the food he puts up with. I read a standalone called Our Dining Table by Mita Ori, which is about a guy called Yutaka who isn't very close to his family at all. He meets 2 brothers in a park, Minoru and Tane. The brothers find his lunch delicious and ask him to come teach them how to cook. As time passes, Yutaka and Minoru get closer, and they are so cute together. They are both kind of damaged in their own way, but the way the story is written, they come together beautifully. To me, this is how you write a standalone. It covers both characters' backstories really well, enough to give them depth. It throws in a few tropes we all love, along with some fluff and logical thinking of what their fears are, without the unnecessary drama. Overall, a great, heartwarming read. I started a new series called On or Off. There are 4 volumes out, but at the time I only had this one. I had very mixed feelings about this volume. At first I wasn't a big fan of the art style, more because I wasn't used to it, but the more you read the more you get used to it, except the sideways face. It reminds me of a cartoon, I can't remember. Anyway, it's about a group of people who've come together to get a startup up and running. To do this, they do all the hard work, and then one of them, Yi-young, goes to the company to present it to the board. Only the presentation barely starts, and Yi-young is horrified that because of him, all his and his friends' hard work is going down the drain. One of the guys at the presentation was Kang, who is very high up in the company, maybe CEO? I can't remember. He comes across terribly in the first half of the volume, to the point where I was put off straight away, and then he takes advantage of Yi-young, who is desperate to fix his mistakes. Anyway, I didn't like the first half of this, but the second half was much better. We got to see more of Yi-young interacting with his friends, who are complete introverts. The head of the marketing department is an unpleasant person, but it makes for a good storyline. The second half saved it for me, as did the ending, so much so that I went and bought the next 3 volumes. I started another BL series called Delinquent Daddy and Tender Teacher, which is about a single dad who used to be a bad boy, Hatoyama, and a teacher who teaches his kid, Hitsuji. They used to be in the same school when they were teenagers, and Hitsuji actually had a crush on Hatoyama at the time. Anyway, fast forward to when they're adults, and Hatoyama's relationship with his child, Saito-kun, is not good, but it's lovely to see that slowly change in this volume with Hitsuji's help. There are lots of stories here to allow you to get to know the characters enough to care about them, and I found it to be a very sweet BL story that I'm looking forward to continuing. I just wish the volume was longer. It seemed very short. I wanted to finish this video with Yona of the Dawn because I finally started reading it and I loved it. I read the first 3 volumes, and for those who don't know, it's about Princess Yona, who lives a great life and is the only princess of the kingdom. Her father dotes on her, she's protected by her guard, Hak, and loves spending time with Suwon, someone she loves. But when she turns 16, everything changes. One of the things I love about this series is the relationship between Yona and Hak. Straight off the bat, you see them insulting each other, and their banter is hilarious throughout the series. I felt so many emotions in the first volume, but I don't want to spoil loads of it. What I will say is that people's relationships with others is very well written. Whether it's a light-hearted one filled with banter, or more serious ones, you end up feeling quite attached to characters that don't appear on that many pages. Yona's character develops over time, and Hak is such a tease. He's so funny. The art is great, it's classic shoujo style with nice details. I am kicking myself for not starting this series sooner, But oh well. I've started it now, and I have the first maybe 23, 24 volumes. Enough to keep me going for a while anyway. So these are all the volumes I read in April. I want to say I'm going to read more next month in May, but it's a really busy month for me, so I'll be lucky to read 14 volumes, which is how many I read this month. Let me know what you read last month. Any recommendations? Please do let me know in the comments below. Happy reading, everyone. Bye!